Rocket Lab really is more than just rockets. And if you're a new investor or just have never heard of Rocket Lab, this video is for you. But seriously, where have you been? Welcome to Space Lab. Founded in 2006, Rocket Lab was really built upon Peter Beck's vision of an anticipated need for dedicated launch options for small and medium-sized payloads beyond ride-sharing. At the time, companies were already verbalizing the need for primary payloads given the importance of predictable launch schedules and inclination. Rocket Lab has led the way in innovation through the development of the Rutherford engine. The engine uses an electric turbopump to feed the pressurized fuel, something that had never been achieved before successfully. They have also pioneered the heavy use of 3D printing for the creation of most of the Rutherford engine, and the use of carbon composite tanks, which are 40% lighter than aluminum. Their flagship rocket Electron has now become the second most frequently launched rocket in the US. And as we speak, Rocket Lab is developing their next generation launch vehicle, Neutron, powered also by the next generation engine, the Archimedes. But launch services are only part of the equation. Whether it's a solar panel, flight software, a reaction wheel, a separation system, or a star tracker, you'll find Rocket Lab technology on more than 1,700 missions worldwide. With a team of over 1,400, Rocket Lab has grown into a global organization traded on the NASDAQ as RKLB. Their locations span across California, Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, Maryland, Toronto, and New Zealand. Their mission partners and customers include NASA, the United States Space Force, DARPA, the National Reconnaissance Office, and a broad range of commercial satellite and constellation operators. So how did Rocket Lab get to where they are today? Let's take a brief look at their financial history for starters. Rocket Lab used a total of 5 rounds of private funding prior to going public in August of 2021. These rounds of funding, Series A through E, provided Rocket Lab with the capital needed to design, build, and deliver their first launch vehicle, private launch facility, begin operations as a commercial launch provider, and fund the acquisition of Sinclair Interplanetary to strengthen their evolving satellite division. Rocket Lab has been funded by a total of 15 investors, the most recent of which is the United States Space Force. The U.S. Space Force recently awarded Rocket Lab with a grant of $24.3 million towards upper stage development of the company's forthcoming Neutron rocket. On August 25, 2021, Rocket Lab went public via SPAC with its merger of Vector Acquisition Corporation. Peter Beck has been quoted as choosing to go public via SPAC to accelerate their vision and goals. Having access to public capital has enabled them to embark on their development of the next launch vehicle, Neutron, and has provided them with additional funds for the exploration of mergers and acquisitions to help the company grow into the end-to-end space company that it is today. Through the acquisition of Sinclair Interplanetary, Advanced Solutions Incorporated, Planetary Systems Corporation, and Solero Technologies, Rocket Lab has become a leading provider of critical space components and software, including reaction wheels, star trackers, radios, solar arrays, and spacecraft separation systems. Rocket Lab's space systems technologies are currently featured in over 1,700 spacecraft currently in orbit. As we speak, Rocket Lab components are currently powering the most recognizable missions like the James Webb Telescope, the Mars Ingenuity helicopter, and the Mars InSight lander. With the acquisition of ASI on October 12, 2021, Rocket Lab is now able to provide its customers with an out-of-the-box solution for flight software, mission simulation, and guidance and navigation control. This proprietary flight software has enabled Rocket Lab to assist NASA in the development and testing of their NASA Autonomous Flight Termination Unit, or NAV-2. By volunteering to pioneer this process, Rocket Lab will open up the door for themselves and all other U.S. launch providers to easily integrate NASA's software with their launch vehicle hardware, something that will be a requirement for Department of Defense launches by 2025. Through Rocket Lab's acquisition of Solero Technologies Incorporated in December of 2021, Rocket Lab became one of only 2 U.S. companies providing high-efficiency space-grade solar cells, and these cells are now featured on over 1,000 space missions without a single instance of failure. On July 28, 2022, Rocket Lab launched the Cislunar Autonomous Positioning System Technology Operations and Navigation Experiment, or CAPSTONE, spacecraft for NASA and Advanced Space. On July 4, 2022, Rocket Lab's Lunar Photon spacecraft completed a translunar injection, successfully deploying Capstone on its mission to the moon. This is literally the first step of the Artemis program, because once Capstone has tested and flown the orbit around the moon, it'll become the same orbit for NASA's future Lunar Space Station Gateway. The Capstone mission could not have been possible without the use of Rocket Lab's Photon configurable spacecraft. Photon is a satellite bus that flies as the upper stage of Electron, but can also be flown by other launch vehicles. A good example of this is the recent contract with Globalstar, Apple's recently chosen satellite communication provider for the new satellite-enabled iPhones. Rocket Lab will be designing and manufacturing 17 Photon spacecraft buses to deliver Globalstar's new satellites, expected to launch by 2025. This contract alone will provide a total initial value of $143 million for Rocket Lab, with additional options to provide the satellite control center, launch dispensers, launch integration, and up to 9 additional Photon spacecraft. And with $546.6 million of cash on hand, there's plenty of runway to continue to move forward. One of Rocket Lab's upcoming notable milestones will be making Electron reusable by catching the booster. This will also enable a quicker path towards profitability, which Rocket Lab is expected to achieve by the year 2025. In its Investor Day presentation last month, Rocket Lab noted that its contract backlog has grown 37% over the past year to nearly $400 million, and the company now has more than a dozen future missions on its launch manifest. Also, in December of this year, we can expect Rocket Lab to debut their Launch Complex 2 out of Wallops, Virginia, where their first mission launch from U.S. soil will take place. Rocket Lab estimates the current value of the space industry, including rockets, satellites, and space services, at more than $380 billion, and predicts this value will triple to $1 trillion by 2030. Rocket Lab presently controls only a sliver of this market, with trailing revenue of about $130 million. But as it accelerates its launch rate and expands into new markets such as satellite manufacturing and space services, not only will the entire space pie grow, but Rocket Lab's slice of the pie will likely grow as well. At a current price of just over $4, many suspect that Rocket Lab will deliver as an investment, especially if Peter Beck continues to deliver the way he has so far. Rocket Lab thus far has maintained a very transparent business model with frequent updates that investors have come to trust and expect. Well, I hope you have found this information useful. I made an effort to cover just about everything that new investors ask, including when moon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.